Do you know why religious Jews don't keep the Torah? It's quite simple to understand, really, in one sentence. They don't love Adonai. They don't love him. Sure, they keep all kind of rituals and religious commandments and traditions, but the bottom line is everything they do is off. I'm having this debate with myself all the time. Well, what do I rebuke them on? It's like everything they do is wrong. Everything is off. We just read the Pesach story for Pesach. We read in Shemot, the book of Exodus, from chapter 6 until the end of chapter 12. Everything that Israel does, as far as a religious ritual, is wrong. Not to mention, the book says so clearly that Aviv, this month that we're in right now, is the first of the year. It's the first of the months. It's number one. This is when you start the year. And yet, in Israel, you celebrate Rosh Hashanah, which literally means the head of the year, on the seventh month, which is Tishrei, on a day that is referred to in scripture as Zikaron Tru'ah, a day of trumpeting. Everything they do is off. He tells them about Seor and Chametz, the leavened bread. There was no industrial commercial dry yeast or baking powder, baking soda in the Egyptian desert. All that it was dough that was fermented. It takes about a day or 2 days to ferment dough. Depends if you have a starter. Much like when you're baking sourdough today. The yeast is in the air, leaven is in the air. It's not talking about all kind of crazy things that we do today when you can't use the same type of pots and pans and forks and knives for Pesach because there might be chametz in the ice cream. What is wrong with you crazy people? Chametz in the water, chametz in the ice cream. I'm pretty sure even toilet paper has to be kosher for Pesach now. How can you be so stupid? But then again, I already answered that question, didn't I? They don't love the Lord. The problem is not what you're not doing. The problem is that you don't care because you do not love the Lord. See, if you truly had the love for God and kept the greatest commandment, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your mind, all your being, everything else would not be a problem. You would already be doing it. Because if you love somebody, you care about what they say. Specifically, if that is your God whom you love to serve. Think about it. You love your boss? Yes, boss. You do everything without him asking. You know what he likes? You'll do it. He comes in the office at 8:30. He likes that cup of coffee, hot with 1 sugar. You'd already have it for him waiting there in the office. Because you love him. You love your husband, you love your wife. They don't have to ask. You do it. But for God, you do all kind of religious practices and don't even do what he asked you to do. And thinking that you're righteous because you went to synagogue this morning for 5 hours and have a kippah on your head, wrapped out in a long talit with tassels going down to your feet. Where do you get that from? That's not even in Torah. None of it. There is no such thing as a Pesach ritual in synagogue. There is no talit. There is no kippah. There is so much more I can rebuke you on, but it doesn't matter. There is no tefillin. There's no separation of meat and dairy. You don't have to wait 6 hours between you eat cheese and a burger. You don't have to buy a separate kitchen for Pesach and have a different oven and go and pay a Chabad to sanitize your pans and pots when they dip it in a special... You are all led astray for the very simple reason that you do not love the Lord. See, I've known all of these traditions. I'm Jewish, grew up in Israel, secular home, but still, it's a part of the culture, the tradition. We all celebrated the Seder. We all get together, the extended family, reading the Haggadah, singing the songs, but there's no faith, there's no care. It's so plain, though, when you read it, and you actually want to understand it. It's not complicated. It's real simple to get if you actually wanted to, but you don't see it because you follow blindly the traditions of men. This very month, like I said, is called Aviv. But you know what we call it on the Hebrew calendar now? I'm not going to mention the name, you check it for yourself. I'm just letting you know it's a name of a Babylonian god. That's right. We had Adar, which is Purim, and the next month on the calendar, this one where Pesach is named after a Babylonian god. Do you think that's holy? Not to mention 3 months from now, the 4th month is also named after a Babylonian god that is named specifically in the book of Ezekiel as someone whom the people of Israel worshipped, a Babylonian god, and that is what they named one of the Hebrew months after. And you think that's holy? Why don't you get this? You don't love the Lord. It's all His witness against you. We were talking about the Holocaust too, During the Exodus, you know what happened? All the Egyptians were favorably disposed toward the people of Israel, gave them articles of silver and gold. Right before they left, they took all of that wealth with them. Well, what happened in the Holocaust? The exact reversal. It's almost like poetic justice, really. I gave you all of this, now I'm taking it away because of your wickedness. Devarim 28, Vayikra 26, the promises of the curses for what happens when we forget God, forsake His Torah. We worship pagan gods, foreign gods. So He took all of that wealth. He threw us in the furnace. That was the Holocaust. And then you go and say there is no God? That doesn't even make sense. If there is no God, why did the Holocaust happen? But you don't want to think because you're not a thinker, because you don't care, because you have no heart for God. You're not a seeker of truth. You want to do what you want to do and you're rebellious to the core. And that is the truth, and you're not going to escape it. And that's why the judgment is coming over your head, and it's going to be just, because that is what you deserve.